If you're looking to make an impact, there's no better place to do that than the U.S. Army. Whether your goal is to fight and cure deadly diseases, develop technologies, or seek adventure across the globe, the Army is where all of that can happen and so much more. The Army is a team of 1 million individuals working together to take on the most complex problems in the nation and the world and to win. Ask yourself, what's your warrior? And go to GoArmy.com to find out. Join us for a virtual career fair. Click the banner to register.
Hello, and welcome to The More Perfect Union, the podcast that offers real debate without the hate. I'm Kevin Kelton, here as always with my partner in pod crimes, Greg Matusak.
Hi, Kevin. I'm glad I get to join you today.
This week, we're doing a special podcast. We have on a guest, a gentleman that I have met online. His name is Jeremiah Hindberg. Did I pronounce that right?
Yes, sir.
Welcome, Jeremiah.
And Jeremiah has a unique perspective, I think, on the BLM movement. And to get into this conversation, I'll tell you how I came about Jeremiah's story. We live in the same town in Texas called Georgetown. And there is a webpage specifically for our town. And one day I was surfing through the page, and you see this picture of a car, a black car that has the letters BLM on it with a heart and another kind of insignia, and a lot of words that you can't quite make out in the photo. And Jeremiah had posted it, and he said, "You've probably seen this car around town. What do you think of it?" And people got on the thread and started talking about the BLM movement. And this car had the names, apparently, of African-American men and women who had died at the hands of police officers. And it got a rather heated exchange going that went on for a couple of days. And what Jeremiah did not reveal at the beginning of the thread, what he let us know actually, I think a day or two later in a separate posting, that it was actually his car and that he had done this artwork to his car as a statement. And Jeremiah, first of all, tell us a little bit about the car, what you did to it, and then we'll talk about why you did that.
Yeah, so the car it's a combination of my girlfriend and I's ideas about how we can express ourselves, but be as nonviolent as possible, but still have the biggest image out there that people see. It draws people's attention. And so basically what it is, like you said, names of African men and women who have been killed at the hands of police, and they're all written on the car. There's 1,561 at this time. There's still more to add. And then we've got artwork from my girlfriend. She drew some nice silhouettes on the bottom, and then on the front of the hood, like Kevin was saying, it has the word or the letters BLM on there. And then we had some quotes up on the sides. I believe we had a little description of what the car was at that time. So it's really just our expression and how much it means to us. Because, I mean, to write on your car, it is a big step, whether it's me or somebody else. That is, it's something pretty big with permanent marker, you know.
Yeah. So the BLM movement obviously has deep meaning for you. You and I mean, our listeners may not know this, but you and I are both white males. You're about 20,
yep,
right?
20.
And so here we are, and this all started during the summer, beginning with the George Floyd protests that started in very late May. And we'll talk about those more in a minute. But what was it about the BLM movement that grabbed you at this point in your life to make such a statement like this?
It wasn't something that I saw on TV. It wasn't something that I saw on the news or on my phone. It was the firsthand experience of going and attending a protest with the intent of being somebody that was on the back lines of everything and strictly there for pretty much backup. If people needed help, we were going to be there, but more of an observer point of view. I mean, we can get into that if you want. I mean, it was really that experience that changed my perspective of how police treat people as a whole and really how they treat Black individuals. And it just really moved me.
Okay, so as I understand the story, and I learned a lot of this actually from perusing your Facebook page, which actually had some videos of you and your dad talking about this experience you had. So your dad's name is Steve, and apparently he heard about what was going to be going down in Austin, but he suggested that you go with him. not to protest, as I understand it, but to be there to be first line responders for people who might be in need of a bandage or a cold drink or anything that could come up. Is that about right?
I couldn't have said it better. I mean, our role was strictly to be there to help the protesters. If they didn't come prepared, somebody slips and busts their knee open, that was what I was thinking. People are going to, there's a lot of people here. You don't know what could happen. Somebody trips and falls, maybe something gets a little violent between two protesters and we end up breaking it up, get them some water, get them some snacks, have them calm down. That's what we thought was going to happen.
Jeremiah, did you or your dad have any background in this? Have either of you guys been EMTs, or did you have any medical training or anything like that?
No, I mean, I was part of the football team as a trainer, and so I understand the basics of how to, wrap an ankle and, bandage up an arm, whatever needs to happen with basic medical stuff, but nothing like what we saw out there.
And it's a bonding experience. Now, I can tell people that from what I can tell, again, through reading through both of your Facebook pages, you seem to be particularly well bonded, father and son. It's really very touching to see. I mean, every dad loves his kid, but your dad certainly stands second to no one in that love.
Absolutely. We had a very, very tough time when I was going into my young adult part of my life. Very hard on both of us. But I mean, for anybody that's listening that has any problems with your father, maybe it will come back around. Got to put effort into it. And that's exactly what both of us did. We put our heart and souls into this relationship. We knew that we needed it. We knew that we wanted it. And so we made it happen. And we're like twins at this point. It's amazing.
Great. There was one photo that apparently you guys go fishing a lot, and one photo made me laugh. You're both holding up your fish, and he wrote, "Always be the one taking your selfie because the fish in the foreground always looks bigger." So that cracked me up.
He's experienced in his fish taking pictures.
So you guys decide instead of going fishing that particular Saturday or Sunday, you're going out to downtown Austin where this rally, this protest, which was ostensibly going to be a peaceful protest, was planned to occur. And there was a group that, again, I learned about through your post called Street Medics Austin.
Yes, I believe that's right. That's like 99% right. It might be a little.
That's it. I looked it up. And it's a group that someone put together just for the purposes that you were talking about, to be there kind of as a, not to do triage or anticipating that there was going to be violence, more like thinking what might go wrong where people might need, like you said, a Band-Aid, some water, snacks, things like that. So you and your dad volunteer for that. You show up. What happened once you got there?
So we got there. I mean, it was a sight to see, really, because I don't know if I mentioned, but we have never been a part of anything that's even similar to a protest. So it was a very, very new thing for both of us to be out there. It was quite a few people. Everybody's, standing at the police department, they're doing the chants. In the beginning, it was a really, really beautiful thing to see. I mean, people came together, people were helping each other out.
And then?
And then people started coming up to the highway, and the police did not like that at all. And so that's when I first saw somebody get pepper sprayed ever in my life. Aside from seeing a YouTube video, this person was doused in pepper spray right in front of me. And it was really moving because, I mean, seeing somebody doused in this and then they turn around, they're holding their face and it's just, everything is just soaked and their face is just beet red. They're coming down screaming. They can't barely breathe. They definitely can't see. That was pretty traumatic for me. I mean, seeing something like that for the first time.
So how did you react and what developed from there?
It escalated after that. There was more people being pepper sprayed. They brought out the police guards that had the 12-gauge shotguns with the less lethal beanbag rounds.
Now, I want you to explain what that means, because I learned from watching your video that a lot of people use the non-lethal term, but there's two terms, right?
So there's less than lethal and then there's non-lethal.
So what's the difference?
I'm not going to be the one to distinguish that, but the bullets that they use, they claim to be less lethal. And so, I mean, if you just take a look at that term, that doesn't seem like something that you should be handling protesters with, a less lethal bullet. This should be something that is absolutely non-lethal. There's no chance.
And I think you said that you either cut one open or one of them broke open, and they actually have metal ball-bearing pellets in them, right? These are not bean bags. They're not filled with gel. These are hard metal projectiles that just happen to have canvas around them.
That's right. I mean, it was scary for me to open up this bag. You know, we finally ran across one on the ground after they had been shooting shots for who knows how long. At this point, it's hard to keep track of time when you're basically in a war zone, which is the way that multiple people described it. You know, this is a war zone. Your head needs to be on a swivel.
There was one story that I heard. I'm going to try to lead you into it, but wasn't there a bonding moment between you and somebody that got pepper sprayed?
Yes. So there was one individual. He had been pepper sprayed, I believe, 2 times. He had come to the camp 2 times, had his eyes washed out. You know, at this point, we're getting to know him. We're like, hey, man, you're back again. And he goes back out, comes back. He's just completely dazed and confused, cannot see. His head is just hanging low to the ground. His arms are reaching out for somebody to help him. And he's wandering towards our camp. And I ran out to him, reached out my arm. He felt my arm there, and I was like, here, I'm here to help you. Grabbed onto my arm tighter than anybody's ever grabbed onto my arm before, and that's when I kind of knew that this was serious. So yeah, I led him back to the camp. He's like, I can't see. I don't know if I'm ever going to see again. I can't see, and I can't breathe. My throat is constricting, and just really panicking. And it's very hard to bring somebody down from a panic like that. But fortunately, I was able to provide him with a calm enough environment for him to start calming down. I washed out his eyes. You know, I'm just letting him know everything's going to be okay. I'm right here. I'm not leaving you. And that was something that was very, very moving to me. He was like, don't leave me. Please don't leave me. I'm sitting there right in front of his face, and he looks up, opens his eyes for just a brief second, sees me, and he just said, you know, oh my God, you're beautiful.
Which speaks to how badly his eyes were injured.
Exactly. I mean, I'm not the most handsome looking guy out there, but
yes,
I mean,
you are. But that's a very moving story.
It was very moving.
A complete stranger looks up at you after going through this experience and says, "Oh man, you're beautiful."
Yes, I mean, to me, it wasn't I'm a beautiful person. It was that, you know, thank you for being here and bringing my sight back, because I didn't know if it was going to be there anymore.
Right.
I didn't know if I was going to continue breathing, which that is one of the most scary things I could imagine. I mean, yeah, it's just traumatizing.
And like you said, I mean, people are not dying on the streets in front of you, but absent that, it did have the feeling of a war zone, right?
100%. You know, when people ask about it, that's how I describe it. It was a war zone.
Yeah, and you're going out to help people, and you don't know, you could be the next one hit in the temple or in the nose or in the eye with one of these things.
Exactly.
Now, here's the question that probably a lot of people are asking. You're at this rally/protest for a cause. Some people may think it's worthy. Some people may not think it's worthy. That's a discussion we'll have down the line. Did you see any violence there? Did you see anything that turned into rioting, that turned into looting? Was there any of that at the event that you were at?
Rioting and looting, I didn't really see. I could count it on one hand how many times I saw somebody doing something that was just kind of uncalled for. There were 2 fires that were lit. That was just uncalled for, and there were people that stood up for that. They were like, "Hey, you know, this doesn't need to happen. Let's not go down that route." There were, towards the very, very end of it, there were people that were trying to throw water bottles and rocks. So that was completely uncalled for. We had plenty of people going out there looking for these people to tell them not to.
There was a story on your video. I don't know your dad's background, but he seems to be very cool under pressure and really thinks big picture.
Definitely.
And one of the things he talked about was somebody was in the medic area about to start throwing rocks or something. And he said to that person, "Hey, man, don't do that here. You're going to turn us into a target. You want to do that stuff? Do it someplace else, but don't do it in the medics area."
Exactly. We don't need the beanbag rounds coming back.
Yeah, you guys don't need to be the targets. Yeah. Now,